It was Christmas Eve, 1971. The air in the Lima airport was thick with the scent of jet fuel and the frantic energy of holiday travelers. 17-year-old Juliane Koepcke sat beside her mother, Maria, waiting for LANSA Flight 508. The flight was supposed to be a short hop over the Andes to Pucallpa. Her father was waiting there for them. They were eager to start their celebration, oblivious to the fact that they were boarding a plane with a checkered reputation. They took their seats in the back. Juliane noticed the clouds outside beginning to darken, turning from a soft white to a bruised, heavy purple. The plane began to vibrate, a low hum that vibrated through her teeth. Suddenly, the hum became a roar. The plane wasn't just flying anymore, it was being tossed like a toy in the hand of a giant. Maria leaned over and whispered that she hoped everything would be all right. Lightning flashed, illuminating the cabin in a blinding electric white. Then a massive bolt struck the right wing. Juliane watched in horror as the engine erupted in a fountain of sparks and fire. Her mother's voice was the last thing she heard over the screaming of the wind. Maria said that it was the end. It was all over. Then the plane simply broke apart in midair. Juliane felt herself falling. She wasn't inside the plane anymore. She was strapped to her row of 3 seats, spinning through the cold, thin air like a sycamore seed. The jungle canopy rushed up to meet her, a vast ocean of green. The impact was a dull thud, followed by absolute silence. When she finally opened her eyes the next morning, she was still strapped to her seat. She was on the forest floor, surrounded by the emerald light of the Peruvian jungle. She had a broken collarbone and deep gashes on her legs, but she was alive. She called out for her mother, her voice a fragile rasp that was swallowed by the dense vegetation. Only the calls of tropical birds answered her. She spent the first day in a daze. She found a bag of candy near the wreckage, her only food. She knew she couldn't stay there. If she wanted to live, she had to move. She remembered her father's advice: find water and follow it. The jungle was a wall of heat and noise. Insects swarmed her, biting at her exposed skin. She found a small trickle of a stream and began to walk downstream, hoping it would lead her to a larger river. By the 3rd day, the hunger was a constant, gnawing pain, but the thirst was worse. She drank the muddy river water, knowing the risks, but having no choice. Her mind began to play tricks on her, echoing the sounds of the search planes she couldn't see. The stream grew into a river. The water was waist deep in places, and she had to swim, her broken collarbone screaming with every movement. She saw crocodiles sunning themselves on the banks, their prehistoric eyes tracking her every move. Days bled into one another. The 4th, the 5th, the 6th. Her wound on her arm had become infested with maggots. She watched them move under her skin, a sickening reminder of her own mortality. She didn't sleep much. Every sound in the darkness was a potential predator. She thought about her parents' research station, about the life she had before the sky fell. That memory was the only thing keeping her feet moving. On the 9th day, she spotted something that didn't belong in the natural world. A boat. It was a small wooden boat moored on the bank. She thought it was a hallucination at first. She crawled up the bank toward a small hut nearby. It was empty, but it was shelter. Inside, she found a can of gasoline. She remembered her father using it to treat wounds on their dogs. With trembling hands, she poured the fuel onto her arm. The pain was white-hot, an agonizing burn that made her want to scream. But as the maggots crawled out of her skin, she felt a grim sense of relief. She waited in that hut for a long time, drifting in and out of consciousness. She didn't want to leave. She couldn't walk anymore. She just waited for the end, or for a miracle. Late the next afternoon, she heard voices, real voices. 3 Peruvian woodsmen walked into the clearing. To them, she looked like a forest spirit, pale and broken, rising from the shadows of the hut. They gave her food and cleaned her wounds. They spoke in a language she barely understood, but their hands were gentle. They told her she was the only one, the only survivor of Flight 508. The journey back to civilization took another day by boat. As the jungle receded, Juliane felt a strange weight settle in her chest. She was alive, but she was leaving her mother behind in the green deep. When she finally reached a hospital, the world was waiting. News of the miracle girl had spread across the globe, but for Juliane there was no joy. Not yet. She had to tell her father that she was the only one who came home. Her father arrived 2 days later. The reunion was silent, a long embrace that carried the weight of their shared loss. He told her she was brave, but Juliane just felt tired. Years passed, but the jungle never truly left her. She became a biologist, returning to the very forest that tried to claim her. She realized that the trees weren't her enemy, they were her sanctuary. She eventually helped locate the wreckage of the plane. It was a graveyard of twisted metal and memories. Standing there, she finally said her goodbyes to Maria. Her story isn't just about surviving a fall from the sky. It's about the resilience of the human spirit, about how a young girl found the strength to walk through hell and come out the other side. Juliane once said that the jungle gave her life twice, once when she was born, and once when it let her go. She chose to spend the rest of her days protecting the place that nearly took everything from her. The scars on her arm eventually faded, but the memory of the 11 days she spent alone in the Amazon remained as vivid as the day they happened. She learned that nature is neither kind nor cruel. It simply is. Every Christmas Eve, she remembers the flash of lightning and the sound of the wind. She remembers her mother's hand, and she remembers the first step she took into the green dark, the step that saved her life. Juliane Koepcke's survival remains one of the most incredible feats in human history, a testament to the power of will and the knowledge passed down from a father to a daughter. She proved that even when you are falling from the sky, even when you are lost in the deep, there is always a way forward. You just have to find the water and follow it. Her legacy lives on in the Panguana Research Station, a place where the jungle is studied and cherished. She turned a site of tragedy into a beacon of discovery. Sometimes the hardest journeys are the ones we never asked to take, but it's those journeys that define who we truly are. The story of Juliane Koepcke is a reminder that we are stronger than we think, and that even in the heart of the Amazon, we are never truly alone if we have hope. Thank you for watching.